Welcome back to With All Due Respect. And yes, we do in fact stick our tongues in our cheeks whenever we say the name of the show. But now we're turning things around a little bit for a new segment that we're introducing, and it's called With No Due Respect. And we've made a graphic for it. On today's WNDR, it comes courtesy of two of last night's debate participants, Donald Trump and Carly Fiorina. Each of them claim to have a special connection to Russian horseback rider and Republican bogeyman Vladimir Putin.
If Putin wants to go in, and I got to know him very well because we were both on 60 Minutes. We were stablemates, and we did very well that night. But you know that.
One of the reasons I've said that I would not be talking to Vladimir Putin right now, although I have met him as well, not in a green room for a show, but in a private meeting.
Okay, so let's rifle through both of these goodie bags. First, Trump says that he was stablemates with Putin when they were in the same 60 Minutes episode. That is a pretty big stable. The Trump interview was with Scott Pelley in New York, and the Putin interview was in Moscow with Charlie Rose. As for Fiorina, who said she met Putin but not in a green room, well...
You've met Putin.
I met him in Beijing. Yeah. We were in sort of a green room setting, actually. The two of us were giving a speech. Each of us were giving a speech at a major economic conference called APAC. And so the two of us were sitting sort of in a chair like this, about this close, for 45 minutes before his speech and before mine.
Okay, so it's there's a little bit, maybe a little slight contradiction between those stories of Carly Fiorina's. My question, though, for you here is, first of all, why must these people who are famous and accomplished, why must they embroider, perhaps, a bit, the truth of their encounters with Vladimir Putin? What advantage do they get from telling this story?
Well, the Trump one's kind of ridiculous because, of course, on the face of it, we all knew it was ridiculous. It had nothing to do with hanging out with him or having any real association outside of the ratings. With Carly Fiorina, you know, she's boasted about her relationships with world leaders. Yeah. To say it wasn't in a green room, but then earlier to have said it was in a green room, and to say there's a distinction between a green room for a TV show versus a green room for a conference.
Right.
Now, it was a longer meeting than you might have in a television green room, but man, what a ridiculous boast.
Well, but here's the thing I find actually the most ridiculous of all, right? Which is that whether Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin met at 60 Minutes on that set, whether Carly Fiorina met him in a green room or not in a green room at a conference or at a TV show, what does that prove about your ability to be president of the United States? What does it prove about your ability to negotiate with Putin, to stare down Putin, to confront Putin, to have a relationship with Putin? In no instance does it have anything to do with anything meaningful.
She sized him up over the Danish.
Yes, she saw deep into his soul. I just find the whole thing just preposterous on a grand scale beyond the obvious lies. Like why they even went down this path to begin with makes no sense to me whatsoever.
They boasted they knew the guy. Okay. Dumb.